Chapter -4, Tiger Snake Island by Minnow. I felt two little breezes as we jumped into the car, and I knew that Six and Jemima were with us. I smiled and put my thumbs up in case they were watching. Once you get past the mouth of the Waterfall River, there's a headland that juts out. It's before you reach the Tiger Snake Ferry, and there's an old lighthouse. As we drove past, Sky pointed at it. "Dad always wanted to live there," she said. "Isn't it great?" asked Dad. "The best," I said, gazing at the Tower of White. "When I grow up, I might buy it," said Sky. Dad grinned. "Why not?" he asked. The trip on the car ferry was smooth. The water was sparkling and there were no clouds, just the brightest blue as far as you could see. Sky was beside herself with excitement. "I can't believe it," she said, her eyes shining. "Dad often brought us here for holidays. Want me to show you his secret spot?" "Definitely," I said. "We call it the Break," said Sky. "Sounds awesome," said Dad. "The waves are really good," said Sky. "It's just down here." We drove past some beach houses and a big stretch of bush before we reached an old homestead. "This is it," said Sky. Dad parked near a spiky gate in a high sandstone wall. "I know this place," said Dad. "I've never been able to get in." "Dad surfed here when he was a boy," said Sky. "It's so hard to get to. Hardly anyone knows about it except the people who used to live in this old place, but they're hardly ever there, so we made it our secret beach." "Excellent," said Dad. I've wanted to get to it ever since I can remember. You can't get around by the foreshore, and I could never get over this wall." "Today's your lucky day," said Sky. "Do you have a key?" asked Dad. "No, but I know where there's a hole in the wall." Sky led us behind an old hedge. As we walked along the hidden laneway, the whole place was buzzing with bees. "I love bees," I said. "Me too," said Sky. "Dad used to keep them. He said he could tell the bees all his secrets and they'd never tell anyone." "What an idea," I said. "He said that the best people to keep bees are those who know about blessing," said Sky. "That way the honey is always clear and sweet. So I've always tried to wish others well. I'd like to keep bees when I grow up." "Don't worry," said Dad. "You will." Sky smiled. "Thank you," she said. "I think so too." When we reached an enormous chestnut tree, Sky pushed on the central brick in the wall. It moved in to reveal a rusted lever. "The secret handle," she said. As she pushed on it, the sandstone moved and a gateway opened just far enough for one person to go through at a time. When Sky was in, Dad handed her the surfboards. Once we were all through, it was only a quick walk to the beach. The surf was green and glassy with an offshore breeze. "This is going to be good," said Dad. "The best," said Sky. The rocky break at the southern end of the beach was forming perfect waves. I felt so excited as we all moved out into the surf. Dad went swiftly past the break with long, deft strokes. Sky and I followed, smaller but still winding our way easily through the waves. I knew that Six and Jemima would be hovering overhead, watching as the three of us sliced our way down the perfectly formed surf. The offshore wind made the waves become sparkling cliffs of water. I could hardly believe how good they were. It was like heaven. After ages out in the surf, we finally came back to shore, panting and dripping, all bragging about our best wave. "You two were ripping it up," said Dad. "You can talk," I said. "I had the best wave and you dropped right in." Sky laughed. Dad always said that I was the queen of dropping in. I didn't ever mean to. I grinned. Of course not. All of a sudden it was as if our stomachs realised how hungry they were, and the joy of the surf left us. "I'm starving," said Dad. "Me too," I said with a big groan. "Home?" asked Dad. "Fish and chips?" I said. "Yes," said Sky, "from that place near the ferry." I grinned, tired but happy. As Dad drove, I stared out at the sea. A run of clouds sat just above the horizon. They were like the spray from the waves we'd just surfed. There was also a cloud in the shape of a flying fish diving up towards the sun. It made my heart leap. I loved dreaming of another sea being high up in the sky. Right over near the mountains of Lowood, I could see a cloud that looked for all the world like a winged dragon being ridden by a wizard. "Flake?" asked Dad as he pulled into the fish shop. "And scallops," I said. "And potato cakes," whispered Six. Sky frowned. She'd asked Six so many times not to talk when people were around, but I didn't care. I loved Sky's little selves. "Potato cakes too?" I asked. "Your stomach's a bottomless pit," said Dad. "I know." I felt a wet kiss on my cheek and smiled at the air, no longer quite sure where Six was. "Somehow I don't think Isla would approve," said Dad. "Who cares?" I asked. "She doesn't approve of anything," said Sky. The Tiger Snake ferry hooted its horn twice, but I knew that the captain would wait for the two girls running down the road with a large white parcel. What the captain couldn't see were the two little angel lookalikes flying above us in a mad frenzy, swooping all over the place. Sky and I had ordered extra everything for Jemima and Six. The little girls were over the moon. We all raced aboard and hunted out Dad. Soon we were sitting with cones of torn paper, eating the steaming pile of fish and chips. We all felt dreamy and tired. I gazed over the side at the reflections of the ferry's red boards. In the water they looked like 1,000 wobbly rubber bands. With a low hum and a deep churning, the ferry pulled out into the channel. I felt Six nestle hard up against me, being as quiet as she could. I was glad that Six was behaving herself. I didn't want Dad to think that Sky's brain was broken.